Hey, what's up you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my branded Eldlich deck profile that I've been playing for the current format. And I really don't like Despia. I really just don't like the archetype itself, but Ice Shade is a pretty good freaking card. I decided to go ahead and test around with the Eldlich variant of branded, and so far it's been working pretty nice. The test hands have been really good. Playing it online has been pretty successful. I've only lost to like maybe just some bad bricks, drawing Scythe, drawing Albaz, but it is what it is. I mean, it's Yu-Gi-Oh, so you kind of have to deal with it. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the deck profile. It is a lot of fun. I do like this deck. It's probably something I want to try playing for my locals, but my schedule is kind of conflicting right now with everything going on in my life, so I haven't really been able to like go to too many locals, but still playing the game every chance that I get to. So starting off, we have 2 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. Nothing too different here. I mean, it's very self-explanatory. You don't need 3. 3 definitely clogs a lot in this deck, so I definitely found 2 just to be more useful. 1 copy of Fleur-de-Lis with the 1 Ecclesia. This is just to pair well with your Nadir Servant. I wanted to have 2 targets. I was debating on a second Ecclesia, but then I would have also had to just get another ulti, and I didn't want to do that because I pulled this one. And the Fleur-de-Lis is actually really good. It just acts as just like another body to help go for game, and then it turns into a negate. So that's it's pretty good with me. Ecclesia, we all know why this is here. It basically gets you punishment. Punishment just becomes a 2-card interruption during your opponent's turn. And yeah, couldn't say any more there. 2 copies of Albaz. I wanted to have 2 of these just in case I drew one, so that way I could send it off of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion gets you the Albaz in the graveyard as well as the Golden Lord, being able to just make your Ice Shade from there. And your basic end board is usually Ice Shade with about 3 to 4 sets, so that's what we're trying to end on, and this definitely helps you get there. So 2 Albaz. 1 Artifact Scythe, because we are playing Sanctum in the main deck, so I wanted to be able to just have an extra way of just locking opponents out of the main deck, or not the main deck, the extra deck. So I'll get more into that when we get to the trap lineup, but Artifact Scythe, you basically know why it's here. You definitely just want to lock your opponent from playing. And then I'm only playing 1 hand trap in the main deck. I'm playing 3 copies of Ash. I debated on playing like Veiler or like Imperm, but I just found Ash just to be the more like useful one, I should say. You definitely don't need too many hand traps in this deck. I think the trap cards alone does more for you than you would think. But 3 Ash I just found it to be more useful because it hits everything in the meta. It hits Robina, it hits Branded Fusion, it hits Emergence, it hits Ashuna. It hits just basically every problem that you're probably going to run into. But that's it for the main monster lineup. Only 10 monsters in the main deck. For the spells, I'm sorry budget players, but we play 3 copies of Prosperity. You kind of need this card in the deck to basically just get your engine rolling. You basically do this last so that way you don't, how do I say it? You don't want to basically clog up your hands with a bunch of bad cards. Like, you want to be able to dig as far deep into either your Branded Fusion, into your Dimensional Barrier, into your Artifact Sanctum, Cursed Land. Basically, this just gets you everywhere you need to be, so you definitely have to max out on it. We play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Super standard. It's a very standard list. I just kind of took one of the lists I saw online and then just basically added a few cards that I wanted to play, and so far it's really good. So 3 Fusion, because you definitely want to hard draw this card, especially now that we don't have Anaconda in the format. You kind of just need to hard open this. A card I've never really agreed with playing in Eldlich is 2 Cursed Land. I definitely didn't want to play 3. I found 3 to be super cloggy, and you're basically just trying to set traps in your back row. You don't want to have face-up spells, so you basically want to be setting 5 every time you get to, but you definitely don't need this up. So basically, you just go Branded Fusion, send the Golden Lord, activate your Eldland, get your Search, and then Eldlich Effect in Graveyard, send this to get an additional send, basically making it to where you end on Sanguine Conquistador every turn. It's just really good. Don't really know what else to say there. 2 copies of Nadir Servant. Granted, you don't have to play 2. I'm at 41 cards in the main deck right now. I've debated on taking one of these out and then just playing the 1 Servant with the 2 search targets. You don't really want to brick on this card because this card can lead to bricking. It's really good going second, but you could definitely play 1 if you wanted to. 1 Called by the Grave. This card's actually just really busted. I mean, the card should realistically be banned with how good it is, but you need this to ensure that your combo goes off. For the trap lineup, very, very self-explanatory. 3 Strike, the best trap card in the game. 3 copies of Sanguine gets you to your Golden Lord. 3 copies of Conch, it makes stuff get popped when you have Golden Lord. 2 Hoquero, this helps you banish cards from the graveyard, i.e. make sure you lose the target on their branded in red, that way they don't get to resolve it. Getting rid of Tenyis in the graveyard, getting rid of Sword Soul cards, getting rid of basically anything else you run into. It's also really good in the mirror, so getting rid of the Golden Lord is very, very ideal. This is just like the 2 flex spots in the deck. I had 2 extra spots, so I decided to go with Anti-Spell Fragrance. I didn't really want to clog up the main deck with a bunch of floodgates, as you see most people do in Eldlich right now. Granted, yes, it's an easier way to get your Golden Lord back out on the field, but I found floodgates to be like kind of awkward in the format right now, because like Rivalry is not really good against Sword Soul. It's really good against Despia, but you're seeing either Sword Soul or Despia, and I wanted something that just kind of like hurt both. Spell Fragrance is a really good card. It really locks a lot of opponents out, and yeah, that's basically it. Really good against Sky Striker as well, so that's something to keep in mind. For the normal traps, very small lineup: 2 Sanctum, 2 Dimensional Barrier, 2 Punishment, 1 Trap Trick. So granted, you don't have to play the Trap Trick, because again, this is a 41 card deck, but I wanted to have basically a 3rd copy of each of these without playing the actual 3rd copy. So I wanted to play the Trap Trick just to compensate that. But granted, you could play 3 Punishment, but I only found 2 to be necessary because we are playing the Ecclesia and the Servants, so that way you can search into it. But other than that, that's the main deck. I found this main deck to actually be really strong. Again, I kind of want to test around and play it at my Wolf Pools, but we'll see if we get comfortable enough, and we'll also see if we just get time to play. But that's it for the main deck. Leading on to the extra deck. The extra deck I found to be like the hardest part about this deck, because you basically have to make room for targets to send off a Prosperity, and then you need to have your Branded Fusion targets. And other than that, you just need, like, it's a really like tight extra deck, which I didn't expect. I thought this was going to be like a more loose extra deck, you know, like your mom. Without further ado, let's go to the extra deck. We play 2 copies of Albion, 2 copies of Ice Shade, and then the what is it? The I don't know this one. The Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. Jeez, I'm awful. So basically, I never use this one if it's not too obvious, because I can't say it. But I usually just send this off of the Ice Blade, so this doesn't really get summoned ever. I usually just send it to pop a monster. But the Albion basically makes your Ice Blade, and then you just go from there. So I wanted to have extra targets just in case I drew like multiple Branded Fusions, but it is what it is. 2 copies of Entis. Granted, you could play 1. I found 2 to be fine, because technically you could use it. You could summon this with the Albaz, but it never really comes up. I just kind of wanted to have an extra one, so that way I could send it off Prosperity again if I needed to go there. Dracus Tapelio and Fusion Dragon and the Titaniclad. So these are all, like, I want to say self-explanatory. Like, Dracus Tapelio just kills the Despia matchup, and then Starving Venom also really good in the Despia matchup. But the Titaniclad, you send it off your servant, that way you get the summon or the add Fleur off of the end phase, or if you need to summon the Ecclesia. But it really is just depending on your current situation. But these cards I feel are all mandatory in the main extra deck. Moving on, we play the 1 copy of Pallades, 1 Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and then 1 Juggernaut. So this is like also debatable. I took out Zeus so that way I could fit the second Ice Blade, and I haven't really missed it too much, but I do feel like there's going to be that one situation that I end up getting into where it's like if I have Zeus, then I basically have the game won. But I feel like if I'm relying on Zeus in an Eldlich deck, then I'm probably losing. So I just decided to cut it in general, and so far it's been fine without it, but there's always that one scenario, you know? But the rest of them, really good. I can't really explain too much there. And then the last 2 cards I play are just double Link Spider. Again, I just wanted to have an extra target to send off a Prosperity for my turn 1. And I usually just get rid of 1 Link Spider just to ensure that I'm going to be digging 6 deep instead of 3 deep. But yeah, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for the deck profile. I really do like this deck. I like what it produces. I like how it generates a fusion and just a bunch of back rows. Like, because the Ice Blade basically is like a guaranteed interruption on your own, or on its own. But I do like the versatility of this deck. I like that you can play it with Eldlich. I like that Eldlich is just like a really good engine in general to mix with a bunch of different like deck cores. The Servants and the like Dogmatica cards you don't really need to play. Again, it's all just preference, but I really like what they do because it helps going second as well. But other than that, that's really it for the deck profile. Until next time, guys, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video. Take care, everyone.